Thank you very much for all of those comments. Now, the government has built 33 corrugated iron houses for a marginalized community in the Kavango West region at a cost of 1.4 million Namibian dollars. Constructed houses have no toilets, which received mixed feelings. Now, on the line, I'm joined by Esther Lusepani, the Executive Director in the Ministry of Gender and Equality, to shed more light on this. A very good evening, Mrs. Lusepani.
Good evening, Maurice. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for joining us on the news tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Now, how many people or households have benefited from the program so far, Mrs. Lusepani?
The program at Kurenkuru for the marginalized communities, we built, so far we've finished about 33 houses, but in total we are going to build about 35. And those are 35 families consisting about 99 people.
Right. It is our understanding that some of these houses were built without toilets, but the Minister of Gender handed over this house and she expressed concerns about certain defecations among these communities, definitely due to a lack of ablution facilities. Now, why were houses built without toilets then, Mrs. Lusepani?
Yes. If I give a bit of a background, this particular community was discovered by NBC TV crew in April, and they were living in plastic bags. I think you still have clips of those plastic bags where they were living. Therefore, we had to make a plan quickly, and we got only $500,000 to house these 35 families. And if you look at that amount, it works to about only 15,000 per family. And there's not much you can do with 15,000 per family in terms of getting a proper house with sanitation and everything. But what we have done as a ministry is to ensure that at least they have shelter for now. While we are working on putting in the toilets, we've also put water. There's running water on the premises, but then we have to look at the toilets as the next step. And we're concerned also that if we delay until we finish the entire, including the toilets, the rain season is coming, and the families will still find themselves living outside. So we handed them over while us and the Kavango West Regional Council are working on a plan to make sure that they do have toilet facilities at the end of the day.
Just for the sake of our viewers, how much does one toilet set cost? And of course, you did touch a bit on that the priority was getting housing for the families that you mentioned without having set up toilet sets. How much does one cost and why the delay?
It's not really a delay, it's just mobilization of funds. But first of all, if we were to put a proper sanitation with ablution blocks, or flushing toilets, and to service the area, it would cost us close to $3 million, which we didn't have already in the budget. Our plan is to see if we can either have VIP toilets or what we call a group, but this plan is still being planned, so I can't say exactly how much it costs until we have finished with it already. Yes.
Now, Mrs. Lusepani, the ministry embarked on this project after seeing the deplorable condition in which these communities live, but through the media. Does this perhaps mean that you are just completely out of touch with the people that you're supposed to be serving?
On that one, and the minister has repeated that our eyes and our ears are people who are in the regions. For example, we have our constituency councillors, we have the governors. They always raise these issues with us as a ministry. But in some places, like I can tell you that on Thursday, I visited the area Totoma. It's near Ndiona. From the third road to get to that village, it's just a space of about less than 30 kilometers. But the road conditions, it takes about 3 hours to travel less than 30 kilometers. And there's no roads. So communities like those sometimes are too far away from everybody to know what is happening. But as I said, we continuously ask the constituency councillors, the traditional authorities, to actually tell us what is happening there in these areas. We've always said that we don't want to hear about people suffering through the media only, but we need also the leadership on the ground to alert us when something like this happens.
We are running out of time, but something just to digress or change gears a bit. Information presented by the minister indicates that 369,000 Namibia dollar was spent on labor. Who exactly provided this labor? Because if it's a well-established company, why did the ministry not make use of vocational trainees, for instance?
Yes, on this one, actually, I wanted to spend a bit of time on it. Because some media houses reported that we spent 1.4 million to build houses without toilets. In actual sense, what has happened is that, as I said, we spent 500,000 on material. The people who built the houses are our staff members. When we talk about labor costs, actually we have the volunteers from the community itself, because we normally use the community members themselves to assist in building, and then we pay them an allowance for that time when they are building. But from the ministry side also, we use our staff members who also stay on site. It took them 3 months to build this. So there are some allowances which also went to the staff members. This is where we now talk about 369,000. We did not use any company to build the houses. That's why we call it an in-kind contribution. And we also had to ferry the material on the ground. We had to make sure that there's food for the volunteers while they are building. So that was an additional cost, which is put. So all in all, it was not 1.4 million which was spent on the houses. It was 500,000 for the material cost and about 454,000, which included putting water on the premises, allowances for the volunteers, and also allowances for our staff members who were on the ground.
Right.
No company was used.
Okay. Now, lastly, once funds are made available, what do the timelines look like for the ministry to go back and complete the job, or, for example, putting up of the toilet and just making sure that everything is above board for these Namibians or community members in terms of their homes?
Yes, we are on the ground right now. As I speak right now, NORAD, even as we're giving the houses on Friday, they pledged to put electrify that area. So with the electricity, we are already sorted out through that donation with NORAD. And then we are discussing this issue on how we are going to fund the toilets. So we have not left the place. We are continuing. Our presence is still there. We just wanted to make sure that the community is in the houses while we complete the other part.
All right, Mrs. Lusipane, we will leave it there for now. Thank you very much for updating and clarifying some of the issues that were brought up.